Lynette Rogers. She is the owner of Virtually Yours and the founder of Saving Our Youth. She's also the author of the first or the number one bestseller book, Mission Unstoppable, with Les Brown and George Frazier. She is also a speaker to young people, but also an encourager to adults at large. Lynette, are you on the call?
Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Momentum Monday movers and shakers. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Well, awesome. Well, welcome to Momentum Mondays. That's right. My name is Lynette Rogers, the co-host of this call that is designed to wake you up, shake you up, and take you up to new levels in your life, your career, your business, and your dreams. Momentum, it propels you forward in life. Without it, success is difficult. Now, who is this Monday broadcast for? It is for everybody. If you're a stay-at-home parent, a 9-to-5er, a career professional, an entrepreneur in a traditional business or in direct sales, if you're a student, if you're in between jobs or a blessing, reinventing yourself, if you're a man or a woman, this broadcast was designed with you in mind. Now, I'd like to introduce a few of my amazing co-hosts. First up, Bishop Dickie Robbins. He is the pastor of Life in Christ Cathedral of Faith. He is the visionary of Dickie L. Robbins Ministries, chiming in from Chester, Pennsylvania. Good morning, Bishop.
Good morning. I am excited about this week's call.
Awesome. We are so glad you are chiming in, getting ready to rock and roll. And next up, we have Miss Danita Washington. She is the founder of Fort Wayne Girls Rock and Girls Rock Summer Camps. Chiming in from the beautiful Fort Wayne, Indiana. Good morning, Danita. Well, Danita is probably muted, so we're going to wait for her to unmute her call. And next up, you heard her welcoming each and every one of you to the line. She is chiming in from Newark, Delaware. She is the founder of Michelle Marie Fashion Agency and the visionary of Women of More campaign. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Lynette. You know I'm ready, and I'm so excited about this call. Woo!
All right. Always ready, Michelle. Love it. And last but certainly not least, she is a professional coach, a role model, a mentor, a leader, national speaker, vice president of Human Resources in Corporate America, and the visionary behind this call. Chiming in from Louisville, Kentucky, are you out there, Miss Jill Green?
Good morning. Let's go. I'm so excited, Lynette.
Awesome. Well, we will be right here every Monday morning to make sure your Mondays will never be the same. Please take a second right now and join our Momentum Monday Facebook group page and join the discussion by making your comments or ask your questions. You can like a quote on something that you hear, hashtag Momentum Mondays, and if you're on the call, go to the page now and post hashtag I am on the call. Well, I am pumped up, excited about our discussion today. Last week, we talked about the 7 Slight Edge principles, which are, number 1, show up, 2, be consistent, 3, have a good attitude, 4, be committed for a long time, 5, have faith and a burning desire, 6, be willing to pay the price, and 7, practice the slight edge with integrity. I'm telling you, if we would just commit to implementing these 7 principles in every aspect of our lives, we would experience success. Well, this week, I'm excited because we are continuing to navigate through this phenomenal book. We'll be discussing chapters 7 through 9, and chapter 7 of the book is entitled Two Life Paths. And it clearly distinguishes how the slight edge looks and works in our lives in the lives of successful people versus unsuccessful people. On our journey in life, the path is actually curved. You are either curving upward or you're curving downward. And if you're not increasing, guess what? You're decreasing. So the upper curve is a formula for success, which includes a few simple disciplines repeated every day. I'm going to repeat it. A few simple disciplines repeated every day. The downward curve is a formula for failure, and that is a few simple errors and judgments repeated every day. Either way, time will expose which curve you're on. I am so pumped up because every single day we have the opportunity to make the choice. We have the opportunity to decide which part of the curve we're going to be on and to allow the slight edge to work either for us or against us. I'm super pumped up. I want to throw it out to my co-host, Jill. What do you have as far as chapter 7, or even chapter 8, where we talk about mastering the slight edge?
Lynette, I have told the callers over and over, this book has definitely changed my life. The Slight Edge, the book is posted in our Facebook group if you guys are still wanting to get that. And there are three things I want to talk about from the chapter I read over the weekend, and it's about the road to success. And there are three things: baby steps, closing the gap, and lessons from the funeral. So one thing about babies is they have a natural instinct to want to crawl. They have the faith to take the very next step. And then when they want to begin to walk, Lynette, they find something to pull themselves up on. See, as adults, we have failed to continue to have that faith to take the next step. As adults, we have failed to often ask for help and pull ourselves up. As adults, we lose the courage to try because we don't want to fail. See, Lynette, when a baby begins to walk, it is a mind faller. As a matter of fact, it looks forward to falling because it knows it can get back up. As adults, we can learn so much from baby steps. So we have to go back to that natural instinct to try one more step. We have to reach out and ask for help, and we have to look forward to failing. That's the one lesson about the baby steps. But there's another lesson that the chapter talks about, which is closing the gap. And closing the gap is based on where you are today and where you want to be tomorrow. And the book talks about there's a natural tension gap in between. But the interesting thing is the gap never stays the same. Either you're moving toward where you want to be or you're staying exactly where you are. So how can you be pulled toward your dreams, be pulled toward your future? It's called action, Lynette. It's called not dreaming. It's called not hoping. It's called putting action and getting it done. Studies show that people with clear, written, articulated goals are pulled along towards where they want to be. So close the gap today. Put your plan together and go toward where you want to be. Now, this is the third thing I want to talk about that I'm going to pass it over, right? We're talking about road to success. It's talking about executing baby steps, closing your gap. But then there's some lessons from the funeral. And in the book, they talked about a story of a gentleman who was in sales. And Lynette, he was scared to death to make the sales call because he thought people would laugh at him. He was scared of what his critics would say. And I would say today that many of us on the line suffer from the disease of not wanting to be criticized, not wanting to be rejected, and so we don't get started. But guess what? Studies show that when you die, half the people invited to your funeral will attend. Lynette, studies also show that 10% of those people that come to your funeral will shed a tear, and 5% of those 10% who cry won't even make it to the burial if it rains. So, Lynette, we spend our lives afraid of being criticized. We spend our lives trying to impress people who won't even cry at their funeral, trying to impress people who will make a decision about the burial or if it rains. The lesson is, do you, be great, and move forward, because guess what? People are going to criticize you anyway. Back to you, Lynette.
Oh, my goodness, Jill, that is off the chain. I cannot believe that I mean, this part that you just talked about, the lessons from the funeral, I got a question for all of our listeners. How many times do we worry about what other people think? How many times do we allow just that, I'm thinking, that I'm going to look silly in front of someone, to allow us to stop in our tracks? I mean, my goodness, half of the people won't even shed a tear, and if it rains, are you kidding me? I am literally just at a loss of words, because that right there put a lot of things in perspective, and we allow that to stop us in our tracks. And then you talked about the baby steps, and how you are so right. We can learn so much just from watching babies, and you want to see faith in action, look at a baby. I can't believe it. That is just so true. So, my, I'm so excited that you shared that. Next up, I want to ask Bishop, do you have any feedback from Mastering the Slight Edge, Chapter 8?
Actually, I was on Chapter 9. I misunderstood. I read Chapter 9, and I was trying to make certain that I had at least a couple of nuggets from that chapter to share. But I'm still mesmerized by what Jill shared. As a pastor, I do a lot of funerals, and a lot of times when we are preparing for the funeral, we talk to the family about how many people they expect to attend, partly because we want to prepare the repast after the funeral for those who are mourning the loss of the individual. And the family always gives us a number that turns out to be less than what actually shows up. And one of the things that teaches me over and over again is that you think that you have a certain number of people celebrating your life, celebrating your success, when the true number is way below what is estimated. And we have to get to the place where we value what we know far above what other people think. Because if we buy other people's opinions, we buy other people's lifestyle. And I don't know why we would want people who have succeeded at nothing to get in the way of our attempt to succeed at something. So that lesson from the funeral just kind of affirmed some things I had been thinking, but it put it in a whole different light. So don't let dead opinions ruin your pursuit of life.
All right, that is definitely a hashtag moment. Don't let dead opinions. What is it, Bishop? Go ahead and repeat that, because I'm taking notes as I'm talking. What was that?
I said, don't let dead opinions ruin your pursuit of life.
Don't let dead opinions ruin your pursuit in life. Wow, that definitely just says it all. My goodness, I am flat out excited about these chapters, this book. It is definitely a game changer. If you are just joining us, we are talking about The Slight Edge, the book by Jeff Olson. We just discussed the 2 life paths and mastering the slight edge, which is Chapter 7 and Chapter 8. And Jill, you did talk about closing the gap, and I thought about that because you said the action is what is going to get us closer to closing that gap, the actions that we take. And it made me think about a magnet, how when you have a magnet, it pulls you. And so the actions that we take is like a magnet towards getting us closer to our goals, towards closing the gap. This is good stuff. I am so excited. Danita, I want to throw it over to you. I know you were reading Chapter 9, The Faces of the Slight Edge. Do you want to share with our listeners some of the key points of Chapter 9?
Absolutely, Lynette. The 3 points that I took out was harness the power of momentum, harness the power of completion, and harness the power of habits. And harness the power of momentum was one that, I think about movie stars and pro basketball players. They start out, they come up on this amazing moment in their life, and they become a star fast, but then they burn out right up on arrival. And a lot of us don't understand that. We say, they have all this money, they have all this fame, what happened? Well, a lot of times we don't respect the power of the journey. Steady is what wins the race. That is the truth. Simple disciplines compounded over time. And so a lot of times we disrespect what the journey really has for us. We must learn. Be not afraid of going slowly. Be afraid only of standing still. I have learned that in this last year of my house fire and everything. Be not afraid of slow movement. Slow movement helps us respect the journey and the process. So if you're standing still, that's when you need to be fearful. If you're stagnant, you got a month or two left in this year, start a slow, steady pace, though, on the things that you know you need to do, because that's the discipline that is really going to get you over, that daily you get up and do something that's regimented for your destiny. So that was the first one on harness the power of momentum. Harness the power, though, of completion. Wow, jaw dropper. So many times we have things that we have not completed, different tasks, unpaid bills, taxes, books or tools we haven't returned to people, and one of the things the book says is, unfortunately, every incomplete promise, commitment, and agreement saps your strength, because it blocks your momentum, it inhibits your ability to move forward and to progress and improve. And I truly believe that incomplete things keep calling you back into the past. Let's just sit in that for a minute. Incomplete things continuously remind you of your past. So many of us are trying to move forward, but because we have all this incompletion of things in our past, we stay looking backwards. How many of us drive backwards? No, you got to look forward, or guess what? You're going to crash. So one of the things that I really took from this part of it is that a lot of us are at the end of the year, we're looking at setting goals, but how many of us you can't really even set new goals until you completed some of the things or brought closure to the things of the past. So hashtag future of failure, because one of the things the book said, here's the unfortunate and powerfully destructive truth about incomplete. It keeps the past alive. Remember, people who live in the success curve are pulled by the future, while those who dwell on the failure curve are pulled by the past. So let's hashtag future of failure. What's pulling you? Are you moving forward, or are you going backwards? So that was one for the harness power of completion. And lastly, but certainly not least, harness the power of habit. It talked about sowing an act, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. Who on the call is trying to reap their destiny? I know I am. And so one of the things it talks about is just really, really, really creating some good habits. We spend a lot of time, and I know for me, I do too, you guys, talking about my bad habits. But one of the things we really need to look at the end of the closure of this year, how many good habits do you have and how you can continue to propel those? I think we just do not respect sometimes the enormous power that habits have and how they can serve the better good for us. So those were the three things that I took from the chapter that I read on harnessing the power of habits, harnessing the power of completion, and harnessing the power of momentum.
My goodness, Danita, you were so right last night on our pre-call. You said Chapter 9 is a call all to itself, and you were so right. I'm listening to, all the nuggets that you shared, and I like when you said harness the power of momentum. Really, you have to respect the power of the journey. And you were so right. We have to keep steady and don't worry about moving slowly, but it's a red flag when you're standing still. So, yeah. I mean, that was so true. And, just the action and the movement keeps the momentum going. We cannot stand still under any circumstances. You must be moving. And then you talked about the power of completion. And I thought about that because, all the things that we get excited about doing, we get started, and if we just keep unfinished business on our plate, it piles up. and then it kind of really, you're just distracted. You're all over the place. So it is so important, like you said, that we complete the things that we say we want to do. How dare we go into 2016 talking about goals that we want, and we haven't finished half the things we put on our to-do list, our vision board, our goal sheet, all the things we're talking about for 2015. But it's not over. We still have time. I'm pumped up, and I know you guys are pumped up too. Michelle, what kind of nuggets did you get out of Chapter 9?
Well, if you,
Lynette,
I was gonna let me jump in real quick. Danita, you slammed it. I mean, I loved your chapter as well, and you made the points about momentum, and I wanted to say that the reason why people don't keep momentum is because they start and they stop. The reason why people have so many incomplete things in their lives, or they can't let go of their past, or they have bad habits, is sometimes we allow other people's habits to impact us, Danita. Sometimes we let our circle encourage us or discourage us. Sometimes we'll say, it's like in our minds, we'll say, well, she's not really doing all that, so I guess I don't have to do that. We set our standards sometimes based on the people around us, but that does not get you to great. I mean, momentum is about continuing the consistent things over a period of time to get the results that you're looking for. So, Danita, I love your chapter. I love those points about momentum, completing the thing, and the habits. So this has just been powerful. Lynette?
Absolutely.
Can I chime in just 1 second? There's one for, apparently, there's another section that didn't get touched on, and I just thought that there was a principle there that everybody needs to hear, and it's harnessing the power of reflection, and it distinguishes between being busy and being productive. And I think a lot of times we deceive ourselves into thinking that we're moving ahead because we're always busy. But busy does not mean productive. The book says everybody's busy, but not the actions that we're busy with do not contribute to the forward momentum and the upward mobility that we're looking for in our lives. So we have to decide whether we're busy doing things that move us toward our destiny or busy with things that don't matter in the big picture scheme of things. If we're not careful, other people's priorities will keep us busy and cause us to neglect the priorities that will move us toward our very own destiny.
Yes, Bishop. I love that. And you know what, Bishop? That is actually a full circle point, because when we first started this call, Momentum Monday, our very first topic was about building momentum. And one of the things we said that you had to identify was your targeted activity. Activity is not just being busy, but it's targeted. What are those specific actions you should be taking every day that move you toward your goal? I love that point, Bishop. So we're not saying get busy. We're saying be productive, because you can get busy and still miss all your goals by the end of the year. Am I right, Bishop?
That's absolutely the case.
One of the other things, Jill and Bishop, that it talked about is, doing the wrong things doing the right things can increase your odds of success, and doing the wrong things can help you fail faster. So sometimes just picking up stuff, being busy, you wonder why you still having this feeling of failure, because personally that's where I was earlier this year. I was so busy doing everything, and a lot of it wasn't my call. It had nothing to do with my purpose or destiny. But because people, like you said, in the circle needed me here, wanted me to do those things, and a yes person by design, but it wasn't healthy for me, nor had it had nothing to do with my destiny, nothing to do with the call of my life. And so you end up burnt out and not really working with purpose. So the power of reflection is something that I think was another piece in the chapter that is critical. You have to be reflective. Look back and see if you're being productive, because if it's not about productivity and the destiny and the call upon your life, then you're probably working in vain. So that was
my goodness. Go ahead, Jill.
I was going to say that's an excellent point, and I just got a text message from someone who this is their first time on the call, and they said, this all sounds great, but what do I do right now? Right? Because Danita, you made a point about being reflective, that's looking back, but if you haven't even gotten started, they're like, what do I do right now? And I will tell you what I did last night. I have so much happening right now in my life. I'm not even going to bore you with the details because everyone can say the same thing. But I took this huge poster-sized sticky note and put it on my wall, and I jotted down 8 things that have to be done by Friday. These are 8 big things. They're related to work. They're related to family. They're related to finances. They're related to my personal endeavors. 8 big things. So the first thing I had to do was I had to write them down, and I had to look at them. So I looked at them when I went to bed at 3 o'clock last night. Well, 3 o'clock this morning, I went to bed looking at it. And the first thing I saw when I got up this morning is that list. And guess what? Each of those things has 3 things that have to be done. But I am going to practice the Slight Edge principle. I'm going to do something every day, Bishop. I'm not going to be busy toward those 8 things. I'm going to use targeted activity. See, most of us just want to jump in and get started without making a plan. You don't get anywhere without a plan. It's not sustainable. You may start, but you will not finish. So this is an excellent call, Lynette. Thank you for leading this. But I think some of the people are saying, well, great, I want to practice the Slight Edge. Great. I want to close the gap. I want to go from where I am today, to where I want to be, but how do I do that? And I'm just going to say, if you haven't started yet, the first thing you have to do is write it down and make it plain. Lynette?
Oh, my goodness, you are so right, Jill. I just wish we had more time, and I'm excited about the fact that we're having this discussion. We all have the same 24 hours in the day, and we can pile that day up with being, like Bishop said, busy making other people's priority take up the majority of our day. And by the time it's time for you to look at the things that is going to help push you to achieve your goals, the day is over, you're tired, other things come up. And, again, then you have to wait for tomorrow. Then you got to wait for tomorrow. And tomorrow never comes. It's all about now. So, this book, these chapters, I just encourage everyone to either download the book, buy the book, and really understand that the Slight Edge principles is something that is happening whether you understand it or not. It is something that we must really take a serious look at, because it is, in fact, impacting each of our lives every single moment. We are literally flat out against time. This is really amazing. We are just at the 8 o'clock hour. But before we end the call and I open up the line, I want to just throw it out to any of the other co-hosts have any final words really quick.
Yes,
what?
I do. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Bishop.
Yep. One of the things that I was going to say, I read a quote once, how do you eat an elephant? And, the answer being one bite at a time. A lot of times we see a task or see a goal that is so huge. We have so many things on our plate that the total mass seems so overwhelming, and we forget that if we just tackle one of those targeted goals, it will move us a step toward our journey. The bottom line, when I drive from Philadelphia to Indiana, it takes me about 11 hours. But the 11 hours mean nothing if I don't get started in that first minute. So it's the first mile of every journey that will determine how far we go in terms of completion. So we should not be overwhelmed by how much we have to do. We just have to figure out what's the most important thing I need to take care of to get started.
I think for me, Lynette, I'd like to just leave people with, make each successful right choice a celebration. It is so easy to forget just to catch yourself doing something right. And so, for me this weekend, small things, but I caught myself doing some things right, and I feel amazing on this Monday morning. And so I want the audience to know that every small step, was a right choice. So let's celebrate that right choice and then just continue to grow and propel from there.
I love it. Jill, do you have any final words before we end the call?
I'll just say we have 66 days left before the end of the year. 66 days to reach that 2015 goal. And I'm going to say don't jump in before you plan. You need a plan to be successful. So, Lynette, I know that we're going to hang out for the after call. So as you open up the lines and you tell us what to say, folks, we're going to have the after call. So anybody who wants to stay on or participate with us, feel free. Lynette?
All right, I'm going to open up the calls, and we're going to say, I'm reaping my destiny.
I'm reaping my destiny.
I'm reaping my destiny.
Reaping my destiny.
Reaping my destiny.
Awesome. So for those of you who are new, I know we have some new folks on the call. We spent maybe about 5 to 7 more minutes in our after call. This is the chance where you get an opportunity to join us in the call. So if you have a comment or you want to say something, you can feel free. We're going to go ahead and we're going to mute the lines, but you can hit *6 if you'd like to make a comment or talk a little bit about what you got from the call today. Do I still have my co-hosts, Danita and Bishop and Lynette?
Yes,
I'm here.
On the line.
Awesome. So let's go back a little bit because, we all had so much this morning to say. We actually could have spent time just on each person's section of the call on their own. But let's go back to the funeral analogy. Is that not powerful? I mean, think about it. Our society is built on oppressing people. People get facelifts. I mean, I'm not saying things wrong with plastic surgery. I mean, you do you. I'm just saying that if the motive is to impress other people or if the motive is to be like someone else, we spend all this energy so people will accept us and they won't even come to your funeral. I mean, what do you think about that? That's amazing.
Yeah, well, I agree. Yeah. People, most of the people that we encounter in the course of our day, even the ones that we presume to have a relationship with, don't care enough about us to make our funeral a priority. If it means that they have to miss time from work, in many cases they won't come. If the weather's bad, they won't come. Many of them will shoot an email or send a text expressing their condolences, but when it's going to cost them something to actually attend, you'll find that a majority of the people won't even make it.
You know what, though? I have a real-life example, and Danita, I know you're chiming in, but a good friend of mine died about, I don't know, it might be about 8 years ago now, and this was a very, very popular, very well-known person. I mean, had a national platform. I mean, this person was touched thousands with her voice, and I mean, I just knew when I flew into the city to go to her funeral, I just knew that the line would be around the building. Like, I just knew that because so many people were always vying for her time. I mean, her appointment book was always booked with people wanting to get coached by her. I mean, she couldn't return all her voicemail calls. So many people were calling and pulling on her. And do you know, when I got to the funeral, I just could not believe how few people were there. And it wasn't because it was a small, intimate. It was because not many people showed up. Now, yes, it rained and it began to snow and weather began to get bad. And people kept saying, well, this is real life. I would have come, but, it started snowing or it started raining or, little Tommy had a soccer game. Like, really? And I just sat there crying over this person who passed, and I said, man, I mean, the people that I thought would be there, who seemed to be close, who I know she poured into, weren't there. Now, I'm not judging, but I'm saying this principle in the book is true, Danita.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that so many times, like I said, we spend so much time, focusing on the outward relationships when, like I said, this weekend I did a lot of reflection, the power of reflection. This book helped me in reading, and part of my reflection is that, spending my time, I got to be more purposeful. I got to create some stronger habits. I have some good ones, but I want some great ones. Because greatness is what's going to move me. That's what's going to shift my destiny to that next place. And it's not so much going to another level. It's just being a better, more productive person in my pursuit of happiness. And that doesn't always mean in doing something, just in getting up every day feeling better. And so, I just think that, that power of habit, that power of reflection, it's truth, and we really, on an individual basis, need to sit still in that. So many of that, and that power of completion. Because this weekend I went and paid some bills, the ones I couldn't pay. I made contact and set up some things. So I lived in my truth. And so many of us, we avoid the calls. We see the bill collectors call, and we just hang up student loan folks. They don't get their money. And we going crazy every time they call, there's a flutter that goes on in your spirit. And it takes you back again to the past. When if you would just deal with it and be productive, you can stand upright in that. And so it was a good read for me this week.
Absolutely. So anybody who's on the line, this is the time that you can join us if you like. We'll be on for just a couple more minutes, but all you have to do is hit *6 to unmute yourself, and you can share, what you've been enjoying about the book or the discussion so far. Lynette, if you're still on, I love what you said last night when you were talking about you realized that if you want things to be different for you next year, it's all about what you do right now. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I really had some time to reflect on really what the Slight Edge is. And we all have goals and things on our to-do list. And when I look at the things that I've accomplished this year alone to this very day, when I'm honest about it, it all goes back to the things I did last year, a few months ago, the activity and the action that I engaged in produced the reality that I see today. So what I really want to stress and what I keep impressing upon myself is everything I do today is going to manifest in the next few days, in the next month, in the next year. And so it's so important that we really understand that, each day matters. Every single day makes a difference. And it doesn't matter if you're doing a little bit, but you need to be doing something, every hour, every minute. It doesn't matter. Carve some time out to make sure that we are doing something to produce the results we want as it relates to our goals. And, Jill, I want to also chime back in on the funeral piece that you talked about. I just reflect back on how afraid I used to be of public speaking and how it literally, I blow my mind at the Lynette that I am today as opposed to the Lynette I was a few years ago. And I will tell you without a shadow of a doubt, I actually cared about what people thought. I wouldn't even ask a question to get clarity at seminars or wherever or in a class because I'm worried about if my question is going to sound stupid or what someone else is thinking. And I just remember how hostage, how it just held me hostage, the opinions of others, until one day I just realized that, just like the book said, it doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter what people think. They're not living your life. They're not, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, And so we just have to have that light bulb come on that, you just got to go get it. We got to just run regardless of what other people see, what other people think, because actually the doing, when you actually step out your comfort zone, that's the only thing that matters. And so, that piece hit me hard because I'm telling you, that was me. And I just remember how it really just stifled my growth. And I encourage anybody on the line who suffers or struggles with that to really, take heed to what we're saying, because at the end of the day, the opinions of other people really doesn't matter. Jill?
Well, Lynette, the issue is that we do live in a rejection avoidance society. Look at it. Facebook is all based on if you like what I post, if you like my picture, if you like my statement. And if I don't get enough likes, what I'll do, I repost it again, or I tag somebody else, and now I'm on Instagram, and all of this social media is based on getting accepted. So you have people now creating careers on being accepted. That's the problem. And so, but I think when we really, really step in, and we're all guilty. There's some point at some time where we all have wanted to be accepted, where we all have done something and hoped that someone liked it. But I'm telling you, honey, this little passage set me free. It set me free. I thought, that is something else. So I'm going to go hard and go big. I'm going to reach for the stars. I'm going to dream big, and I'm going to run hard, and I'm not going to worry about what other people say, because you know what? They're still going to say something anyway, Lynette. So anyway, I thought that particular point was pretty powerful. I just got a text message from someone who said they were trying to chime in, but they didn't realize they were muted. So if you want to unmute yourself, you can hit *6, and you can share a little bit about what. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, this is Felisa from Tampa, Florida. Yeah, the analogy with the funeral really kind of hit home, and just you sharing about your girlfriend's funeral. A good friend of mine, he passed away, and it's actually during this Fly Chicks retreat that we were having. And I wasn't going to go because I'm like, I need to do this retreat, but my, heart was kind of pulling at me about, like, really this guy really had an impact on my life. He was my partner in business. And so I took the trip to Pennsylvania, and, in contrast to what you found, Jill, at your friend's funeral, his funeral, I mean, they were lined up all outside the church, wrapping around the church. And I was just humbled, amazed, and just blessed to see that, because what he was a person that was just really basic. He lived his life. He didn't care about what anyone else thought. But what he did was he imparted love into everybody that he, came in contact with. So people came because of how he changed their life in a positive way. And it was simple. Like, if you looked at him, you wouldn't think of him as a career person or anything. He was just a awesome person. And he's like, let's just get it done. So I just wanted to share that, because some of the basic things in life we miss out on, and those are the things that have the most impact.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Talisa. Thank you so much. Guys, you were on Momentum Monday, the after call, and this is where you get a chance to chime in and share, just like Talisa did, how a particular portion of the call or the book that we're reading has touched you or inspired you. Is there someone else who wants to chime in?
Hey, this is Juan from Milwaukee. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, awesome. That funeral analogy definitely just really hit home, and I'm like, whoa, that really makes sense. I was thinking, like, when I was planning the conference, Milwaukee Makeover Conference, I had so many people that I knew were going to attend this event because they told me, remind me, do this, do that. And at the end of the day, the people that I invited or said that they were going to come, none of them showed up. Now, there were people that showed, praise the Lord, it was a really good turnout, but the people that told me, I'm going to be there, they never showed up, and they were just, like, so overpowered with, oh, this is an amazing idea, I can't wait to be there, I want to help out. So I get it. So that analogy was just a aha moment for me, and like Lynette said, you have to, what did she say, use your results, basically focus more on yourself. That's going to help you get to your mission. And I think Anita also shared that as well. So I just want to say thank you for reaffirming that for me.
Well, thank you for sharing, Wanell. And folks, Wanell just recently hosted a women's conference in Milwaukee, and it was amazing. It was a Milwaukee Makeover Conference. And, Wanell, what you just shared is that it is a reality that we have to face. People will not show up for you. People will quit on you. People will disappoint you. That's why our goals and our dreams can't be based on people at all, right? They can't. I mean, you can have a workout partner because you want to go to the gym. At some point, that workout partner might sleep in. You still have to go, And so we were talking about this last night, Wanell, but we were saying that we love the fact that people get on this call every Monday morning from all across the country. But guess what? Guess what? If nobody gets on this call, I know 5 people that are still going to go and get it. I know 5 people that are still going to close the gap and go from where they are to where they want to be. I know 5 people that will sit back and reflect so they can move forward. I know 5 people that are still going to go and get it. So our participation on this call is not based on who gets on. This is a service that we love to provide, but guess what? We realize if you can't base it on the people, because the people will not show up on you, quit on you, disappoint you, and even discourage you. So now, welcome, right, to the big club, because in the big club, that's what happens. You had an amazing conference in the midst. So congratulations to you. And Bishop, what do you think about that, right? I mean, people are going to quit on you or not show up on you, and we just all have to move on and be okay with it.
Well, we have to build into our emotional budget the fact that there will be people who would try and take currency from us by disappointing us, by not showing up for us, by quitting on us. And if we have to decide how much we're going to let that affect us. The bottom line is nobody is responsible for our destiny but us. And we welcome anyone else to join us on the journey. But if whether or not we take the journey is contingent upon who supports us or who is going to come along, then we're not going to go very far in the first place. So it's okay to be selfish about your destiny because that's why it's called your destiny.
I love that.
And Jill, Jill, one of the things I've learned, and a good friend of mine tells me all the time, we all not able. There's seasons in our life where some of the people who we thought was a part of the journey, they're not able. They're not equipped yet to carry the torch or move in the race with us. And so, I think T.D. Jakes was talking last night, the art of not so much goodbye, but, hope to see you later. And so it's not always a negative. Sometimes that's heavy weight that you're trying to carry on to a part of the journey that they're not ready or designed for. So just remembering that, Juanelle, is what has helped me in the Makeover Conference and the Girls Rock Conferences and everything that I've been doing, that, I don't even get disappointed or angry anymore. They are not able. And so part of it is not their design, it's not their season. And so just rest and assured in that. And you had the strength to finish. I'm so proud of you.
That's really good. And we're going to close on that point. That is excellent. Sometimes we're requiring something of someone that don't have it. Either they don't have it, don't want it, or it's not the season for them to support you or be there for you in that moment. And it's okay. And it's okay. I'm glad that you pointed that out. That's awesome. Do I hear somebody else chiming in? Awesome. Well, we want to thank you guys so much for dialing into Momentum Mondays. We'll be right back here on Monday morning where your Mondays will never be the same. And later on today, you guys will have the call that will be posted in the Facebook group. So thank you guys for dialing in. And if you haven't got the book, guys, get the book. You can Google it, The Slight Edge Principle. The e-version is out there. You can download it. You can print it off, but it will change your life. Guys, have a fantastic Monday.
Happy Monday.
Have a happy Monday. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.